today's edition of Pegasus Test. On today's edition, we're going to talk about part 2 of dyeing things OD green. And One Shepherd's done a wonderful thing. They're always upgrading their equipment. They're always expanding to new things, growing the organization bigger. And when you do that, you need more rifles. And Doc here found a great deal on some rifles at Palmetto State Armory.
Yep.
But he encountered a problem. It's not the right color.
Ah! Oh, it's retarded. But we can make it intelligent. Okay, so a big trick in getting dyeing anything, frankly, is getting the right recipe. And you can find OD green recipes for RIT dye. You can find this all over online. I say cautious. Be cautious just a little bit here. They are true and accurate, but it may not be the exact OD green that you want. There's different colors and shades of OD green. So the recipe that I have found, and I'm going to tell you the recipe and then tell you that I've doubled it for the size of vat that I am using here. The recipe is 1 bottle of Kelly green dye. 1 bottle. With a half bottle of Sunshine Orange. Again, this is RIT dye liquid forms. 1 bottle of Kelly Green, half bottle of Sunshine Orange, and you get an OD green there, but it's not quite dark enough. It looks a little too cheery, to be honest, for my military, U.S. military sensibilities. And so I want to darken it up. And people say, oh, well, you grab the chocolate or what's known as dark brown, sometimes called chocolate brown, depending on which version of RIT dye you get, and the dark green, okay? Well, sure, that's fine, but be very, very careful here because this chocolate dark brown wants to dominate everything. So if I'm using a whole bottle of Kelly green, which is a light green, and a half bottle of Sunshine Orange, then I want to use no more than a 1/4 bottle, less is preferred on the dark brown, and then a 1/4 bottle of the dark green. And I find that a 1/4 bottle or less of the dark brown, a 1/4 bottle of the dark green, mixed with the other 2, combine all 4 of those at the numbers that I'm telling you, and you'll get a good military, good-looking OD green. And I'll show you a cheater's way of looking at that, testing it. All right, so I have my tongs, and remember, you want a stainless steel, or you can use aluminum. It'll probably stain it a little bit. What you don't want to do is don't want to use Mama's Good pot, right? Mama's Good pot or Mama's expensive tongs. I've got some, like, I don't know, Walmart special tongs here. Probably cost me all of $3, and I've got this great big, what is this? This is a 10-gallon pot?
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge pot, and I've probably got about 1/3 of the way full. So it's on a hot plate, because heat, as we'll talk about, is really critical here. But again, the important thing is to use stainless steel or aluminum, because you don't want to just stain the crap out of everything. Or just a dedicated pot, then you really don't care, right? Some people like enamel, coated metal, and all this other stuff. But anyway, I'm stirring this on a hot plate, and you're trying to get it up to a certain heat. You can check the temperatures according to what you are dyeing. Are you dyeing polymer? Are you dyeing, nylon? Are you dyeing polyester? Or are you dyeing in natural materials like cotton and silk and wool? Those are quite different, and when you do that, you want a different fixing agent, something like salt. Whereas when you're dyeing the man-made materials, you can use a vinegar for a fixing agent, but I've found that it's redundant. It's not really so necessary in most cases. Anyway, so here we are, we're heating it up, and I said you want to heat it up to a certain temperature. You don't want to bring it to boil. Boil can not only damage your material, but it can also make the dye not work as effectively. But it won't work cold either. You want it good and hot, and you want to keep it that heat. So that's why I'm using a very safe electrical, electric plate, a heating plate underneath this. And you see that it's balanced. It's not balanced that precariously, but it is balanced here. And I hold it, so I hold it when I stir. And I'm going to stir. Now, and then what happens is I stir with these things. You can take just any piece of white cloth, and you can kind of see the color you're going to get right there. It's going to be that darker It's going to be that darker color here. It looks like little stains. And that's not accurate. Don't think, oh, that's perfect. That's exactly the color. This might be darker, or chances are it's actually going to be lighter than what it actually comes out. But this is a good cheater way of looking at it. And you see what I'm saying? I wanted a much more drab, a much more brown, darker looking military green rather than the cheerful, you know, what they were calling OD green, which just looked a little too cheery for me. All right, so that's where we are, and we'll see how this comes out. All right, so here we are back at ye old vat, and we've played with the dye once again, but you never want to just start throwing in a dozen different, you know, stocks, pistol grips and butt stocks and foregrips and trigger guards. That's a whole lot of investment just to risk on one. Let's just take a single item, and it turns out that we have one extra. None of us can figure out where it came from. You know, you always get extra parts in the kits, right, that you order from PSA. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, PSA, give us some extra parts. Anyway, we wound up with one extra here that's FDE, and while honestly I like flat dark earth, it's probably my second favorite. The reality is this just won't cut it for one Shepherd. We have to be OD green, because who's kidding who? It's the best, right? I mean, yes, I am an old FUD. You know, I joined the Army right after the Great Flood, and and everything was OD green, damn it! And that's what it's going to be here too. So let's throw this into the vat, pull it out in about 10 minutes. We've got it nice and hot. Again, you don't want to boil. Don't bring it to a boil. But this is good and piping hot. We're going to throw it in for 10 minutes, pull it out, and take a look at it, compare it to the original, okay? All right, let's do that. All right, so this is a great example of why, two things. One, why you test first before you throw everything into the vat. Because while this is really interesting results, we aren't happy with it. And remember when I said earlier, the last video, we were doing some desert tan, yeah, DPM stuff. It was Battle Rattle that we were dyeing. Now I'm dyeing stocks, and these are polymer stocks. And I said at some point, well, it's a happy sunshine kind of cheery olive. This is an olive, and this isn't enough drab in there. So now I've got to do the dangerous task of adding more brown, which will turn everything brown instantly. But in order to dilute that brown, first off, I'll use very little. And the second thing is, I'll use some more light green or Kelly green. So I've got to add that to my mix and to see if that's going to give us the color we want. All right, stand by. All right, so we added a little more browns to it. You can see it's darkened up quite a bit. And this is the original color that it was, a flat dark earth. So you can see quite a bit there. This as it dries out. It's going to dry out this color. So you look at it there, and this is the, let me add that there. So I honestly think that the OD Magpul makes a great product. I like their OD, but I have to admit it's a wee bit dark. And you know, Les and I were talking, and we're going to give this a try. If we don't like it, we can re-dye it later. I say this looks more like the Brownells OD green, but either way, kind of like it. It's interesting. We're going to give it a try and do all of the other firearms with this. All right, so that's where we are. And like I said, you just keep changing the color, the vat color with your RIT dye. We could add more brown in there, but I've been once bitten, twice shy by adding too much brown in, turned everything brown. So I'm going to go with this for now.
And here we have the end results once everything was dyed. All right, so re-education is complete. As you can see, I have the old weapon, and Doc now approves of these re-educated rifles. They are now the proper color.
Ugh,